guys, Joebizz34 back again, and once again I have Dan of Gallactibles front and center to start off this 1/6 Nightmare Before Christmas special. This is volume 2. I did my first one last year, and this is the 2023 edition right before Christmas. It's literally the weekend, or just about the weekend before we hit the holidays. And then, of course, going into the new year, so definitely want to end this year, I should say, with a bang. And what better way than another great concept piece by Gallactibles, aka Dan Terzo. Now, what this is, and some of you guys, if you follow Rob Terrell, shout out to him. He did a great review of this as is prior to me getting it to review as well. But it's always nice to get different perceptions, different perspectives, different opinions, different looks. But what could you say bad? I mean, look at the detail on this thing. Here's the chest, the melting, dirty, weathered shirt that's just kind of become part of his body, basically, at this point, being underwater so long. Definitely has the part 6 and 7 combination vibe in it. Very cool concept. Look at the buckle. There's the details. Is the belt all muddied and dirty. And what this is, what this would be from a concept or from a what if perspective is, what if Jason kind of came out a little sooner, maybe, before he appeared in part 7, like a 6.5, right? Where he's still transitioning or rotting underneath the water, where you could still see remnants of his part 6 stuff, the belt, the dart pouch holder, the dark rim stuff, the greenish and the beige pants that he had on him, the yellow gloves, the working gloves that begin to deteriorate, and what you could see is basically the transformation happening. Here's the chain around his neck, just like in part 7, that he eventually becomes the part 7 New Blood Jason that we know. So this is definitely like an in-between part 6 and 7 concept, and it's a wonderful concept figure. He has a great base here that goes with it, that you could see some grass and dirt and stuff like that. The porch, or the deck, I should say, that the dock that he's on, right? Really nice details and weathering with the wood, and you can see the weathering and the dirt and the grime on the dock. And yes, he did add in, and as Rob Terrell had shown in his review as well, he did throw in a Book of the Dead, which is a kind of cool little Easter egg, a little nice touch. Shout out to Jason Goes to Hell. There is a touch of Jason Goes to Hell in this figure as well. And if you guys remember from my Halloween video, I had a concept, another concept that Dan had done that was sort of like a Jason 9, Jason Goes to Hell, Jason 10 mixed. And that comes with this head sculpt right here, okay? That I still have. Now, if you compare it to this one, this is basically the same type of head sculpt here. I'll unmask them so you could see. So look at that, and that's cool. It's painted slightly differently, right? So it's got a different little spin on it, a little upgraded. Here's the mask, which is nicely weathered. Dan definitely likes to go dark. I noticed that with his work. His paint work and his, dirtiness, weatheriness, he definitely goes dark. Very much on the dark side, no pun intended, compared to other figures or other artists. For him, it's definitely the grime and the dirt and the mud. He definitely paints very dark with his figures, I notice. I'll give you another example of that later when I show you another concept, sort of concept or customized figure I'm going to show in a bit later in this vid. So this is one of a few I'm going to show, but this was definitely a good one to open with. So look at the worms and stuff. Now again, just like my concept Jason 910 that I have of him, same idea here, where he kind of went very detailed with the weathering and the dirt and mud and grime. You can actually see like earthworms and maggots or what have you coming out of him. So it's very similar to that other custom concept figure I have that I showed in the Halloween vid this year. So great work once again. And then he's got this nice touch here where he has this axe that actually could be part of the diorama that goes right into that post right there with the blood, and it matches up nice. Nice little prop right there as part of the diorama. And then he has a separate base diorama that's strictly for this add-on additional bust that has like an alternate look once again. So again, it has the chain and it kind of mimics the, there's the nail in there as you can see. So he goes more Jason 7-ish, right, with the nails. And if you notice here on this one, there are no nails there because that's prior to that, right? And this one here, which is kind of cool, different type of mask. And if you own this figure, you know, you can definitely, you know, maybe use this if you want to swap it out and kind of change the mask there or the head sculpt. And this head sculpt is really cool because this is like a concept, you know, variant or interpretation of Jason 6. So this is definitely more of a Jason 6 sculpt right here. This could definitely pass as a normal Jason 6, as well as having just a little extra spin on it. Again, if you notice, very, very creepy, very dark. The bone and the weathering there is very dark brown tone. Again, Dan likes those dark colors there, but it works. It works for his stuff. If you remember my burnt Jason that I showed, there it is again real quick. Again, very, very dark tones, earth tones, very dark browns, very dark gray, very, you know, gloomy, you know, like kind of really, really kind of adds to the weathering look. So, you know, same idea here. So again, there's the alternate head sculpt. This is very cool. If I technically was keeping or own this figure, or for anybody that does own your figure, now this does come off. You could technically, I guess, work the head here instead if you wanted to use this head sculpt here and kind of switch it up. But you might have to rework the way the head fits into the body there. It's a little different system from this one, that one. But you know, the option is there with a little extra customizing if you so choose. But, you know, again, you know, 9 times out of 10, people display these figures, Jason figures, with the masks on. So, you know, at the end of the day, does it really matter? You know, I really love both masks for different reasons. This one really also looks very cool and kind of gives me more, also a very, like a Freddy versus Jason mask vibe as well here. So a lot of cool stuff going on here. And again, you know, Dan going hog wild with these concepts and stuff and tearing it up and kind of pumping them out. This is the he sent me to show with this. This is the COA that, you know, that he has. You can see right there. It's the 6.7. So it's the 6/7 Mama's Boy edition size, 1 of 1. Year 2023, because this is a one-off concept. So beautiful, beautiful, beautiful figure. Oh, and what I would like to do, he does have a little thing here to help the figure not fall. There's like a post that you could put the leg on. But what I want to do here is I want to try to I want to pick the figure up here, you know, and also notice that he made another bush hook for this one. This one is longer. If you notice the one that I had shown that he had given me with the Artisan Jason 7, which was also very nice, had the same detail, same look here. But he did go longer with this one. This was definitely a revised bush hook that's a little longer in size. So let me turn this around here real quick. So I want you guys to see the back of this. I'm trying to do this with one hand. And you can see the details of the back of the figure here. There's the back of the belt, back of the pants, all the way down. And look at that. You get in there, you can really see, once again, the details. There's another worm sticking out there, earthworm, maggot, whatever you want to call it. But, you know, once again, phenomenal job. Phenomenal job. I'm very impressed with this figure. And, yeah, if anybody out there sees this and is interested in this figure, let me know, because I can certainly help sell it to somebody on Dan's behalf while it's in my possession. Or if it's down the road, it might be back with Dan, and you could hit Dan up if you're interested in purchasing this one. If I didn't already purchase so much, I would probably be interested in this myself, but that's okay. You know, beggars can't be choosy. So anyway, that's a great way to start this video, and I'm going to move on and show you the next figure. Okay, guys, I'm back, and I wanted to show this again. Now, I've shown this Leatherface before with the reworked 3.0 head sculpt that I had gotten, and I had acquired, and I added more to it. I repainted it. I added stuff to it to give it more depth to the head sculpt, and I just showed it again just recently in one of my 3 parts of my Halloween vid that I just had back in October. But this is an upgraded head. This is a new head that I received, close up there, from Roadkill Customs. His first name is Jerry. Nice guy to deal with. I happened to notice this sculpt online, and it was actually done by a gentleman named, and I apologize if I'm not pronouncing it right. I believe it's Mauricio, but his last name is Chavez. So Mauricio Chavez. And he apparently is the one that did the original sculpt. He did like a bust that he shows on his page. But he gave Jerry, aka Roadkill Customs, the rights to the head sculpt to kind of make for 1/6 figures. So I talked to Marcio, and he pointed me into Jerry's direction, and I received this beautiful interpretation of Bubba, Leatherface, and Roadkill is the one that, you know, received the head sculpt, haired it, and then painted it and sent it to me. And excellent job. Really captures the look of, you know, the original Leatherface from 1974. You could see the metal frame holding the mouth, and the little details with the eyelashes and stuff like that, the stitching and stuff. Now, the one thing I will confess that I did do, I did futz the hair a little bit. I wanted it to be a little more fluffy as opposed to the way it came, which is fine. And I did weather the mask a little bit, just a tiny bit. And, you know, anybody who knows me knows that I do often sometimes touch up things slightly to my liking. Not that it was necessarily bad prior. There was really nothing wrong with it. Just that I prefer the skin tone of the mask to be a little bit more in the light brownish beige area. That actually, you know, that kind of simulates dried up skin, like the way the mask, I feel, looked in the movie. Originally, it was a little more yellowish, which, you know, there are definitely interpretations of him that way. And if you remember the original Sideshow Leatherface, the head sculpt there actually wasn't bad for a Sideshow at the time. It actually holds up nicer compared to some other things they did way back when, in the early 2000s. But their head sculpt was more on the yellow side as well. Originally, when I received the 301 that I reworked again and repainted, it also was a little more on the yellowish side, that I kind of repainted myself and made it more like that tan, that light tannish, you know, flesh color. It's just the way I prefer it. And, you know, so I did kind of just touch it up a little bit to give it more of that tint for my liking. But to be honest with you, besides that, it's a fantastic head sculpt, and the work that Roadkill did, along with obviously the sculpt from Mr. Chavez there, it's wonderful work by them. The details of seeing, you know, the way you could see the sculpted teeth and lips in there, the mouth looks very realistic. The eyes that you could definitely see in there, and the rope, the string that, you know, that's part of the mask, obviously, that he uses to stitch it together and hold it, is beautiful. So again, this is the same, you know, figure I showed recently, just with a different tree topper, as I like to say. And I definitely consider it an upgrade. And, you know, I want to give a big thank you to Roadkill. I look forward to seeing more of his work, or Mauricio Chavez's work, as far as, you know, he does other stuff. So I'll be keeping an eye on that, and I'll definitely reach out to Roadkill and give him a shout out. And, you know, if there's other stuff I'm interested in that he does in the future. But, yeah, you know, if you're interested in this, or if you like the sculpt, give him a holler. Roadkill Customs, that's his name. And he's on Instagram is where I saw him. They may be both on Facebook as well. I don't know, but I think I reached out to both of them on Instagram, as far as I remember. If I'm wrong about that, I'll post it here in text underneath so you guys can see their contact info. But moving on, once again, I want to feature something latest with Gabriel. And we all know Gabriel has been killing it in the Freddy world. And so once again, I have to showcase Freddy-related products here. I just recently got this. Now, I was hopeful. I thought I was going to get this in time for the Halloween vid, and I didn't. You know, it just got delayed and stuff. So I'm going to show it now, because I did order this before I did the Halloween vids. Look at the paintwork there. Look at the burnt ear, the blacked out ear that we've even seen others do, like Beta Metalli and so on, and One's Customs. Very important characteristic of the original. But goddamn, I mean, Gabriel's been killing it with his Freddy sculpts. The part 3s I showed, the 2s. He's actually got another new 2 now that's like he's kind of grimacing. That grimacing look that we've seen done like by others. And he's doing, I think, another Freddy 3 as well. But this is his part 1. And man, did he nail it. I mean, this is probably the most disturbingly realistic part 1 I've seen, as far as like it capturing the makeup. but also, you know, having that Robert Englund resemblance just kind of creep through. Really, really well done. Now, once again, for my taste, I did weather and darken the head sculpt a little bit, gave it a little glossiness for that little wetness look. That's all. This really didn't need much other than that. And again, that's just me being me. So I did want to kind of give it more of that darker weather tone, kind of give it a little more of that burnt leftover char, or like, you know, weathering on his head, like we kind of seen in part one. But look, but that's the only credit I could take other than that. Now he is borrowing my original body and sweater that's Beta Metalli. And you know, the nice thing is that it does complement, like this is Beta Metalli's smiling original sculpt of him smiling. And again, you could see same idea there with the burnt head, with the burnt ear, sorry, or having it blacked out there. That's a big characteristic of that look, the makeup. And you could see, I mean, this is a little dated at this point, but it's still very well done. And this is part of this figure. This is the original glove, the sweater, and so on, the pants and so on. And I do have the original hat for this guy too. But it's nice to be able to trade off if you want to go the non-smiling or neutral face look, you know, which this one is just, my God. So definitely beautiful work. All the credit goes to Gabriel once again. Definitely hit him up if you're interested. He has the hat that comes with it, which has a magnet system once again. So very nice details in the hat. You can see sort of the holes here in the hat, like the rips and the tears. Nice weathering work on it. It looks very well done. And there's he does have a magnet system that I love that he does with a lot of his head sculpts, so that it does not fall off. There is a magnetized effect that's happening there. So once the hat is on, it does magnetize to the head and stays on very nicely. So there you have it. You know, two beautiful figures that are contributed to new head sculpts, like again I call tree toppers, to kind of improve what was already great. All right, be back with some more stuff. Okay guys, I'm back, and this is another special treat, kind of a dream figure that I always wanted to do. And for years I was kind of flirting with the idea of doing it myself, because you know, in the past when I had sculpted some of my own figures, like Leslie Vernon, and I did the Collector, and I did Chrome Skull. This was another guy I wanted to always tackle and love the movies. And again, who doesn't love another cult classic that involved Bruce Campbell? A lot of people forget because they're so hung up on Ash, and he's so known for that at this point with Evil Dead, which understandably why. Everybody may forget, or some may not even know, that he was a big part of this franchise as well. Bruce Campbell was in Maniac Cop 1 and 2, I believe. They did make a 3, and I think somebody else was in 3, if I remember. It's been a long time since I've seen them. But this is basically Maniac Cop from part 2. And this was always and basically what he looked like in 3. In 1, you didn't really see him too much until the end. And he looked more like a normal guy with just scarring on his face. But this is kind of like, they went the route of Jason, where like his look progressed as he rotted underwater and stuff like that. So when he reappears in part 2, he had this new creepy zombie look. His nose, as you can see here, is like kind of deteriorated. The bone is exposing wounds and stuff that, you know, still creeping through. But his face kind of like zombified. And this is very accurate. And you see how there's one eye that's kind of off. It's like fogged out or greenish, like it's kind of faded out. The other one is brown. That is exactly how it looked in the movie. So this one is done once again by Brian, aka Brutus Customs. And if you remember, I've reviewed some of his figures before. He did a great Freddy 2. He did a great Jason Goes to Hell that he went on to do runs. Now, with those two figures, I jumped on early, and I was lucky enough to receive and review his prototype. With this one, he did the prototype and showed me, and I had mentioned that I was interested in one of these, and he said he was actually making one. He made one for a customer that requested it. And then he said, as like the others, he would do a run. So this time I didn't get his prototype. This is not the prototype. This is part of like a small run he's doing. And you can see right here, here's the certificate of authenticity. And it actually says here, limited edition figure number 2. So I think that means that this is the second one he did and the prototype was number 1. Or it might be this is the second one in his run. I don't know. But either way, that's fine by me. There's the cool he makes cool COAs, and he goes the same route like others do now, like Beto and so on, which I like, which he does it like a card format, and Gallactibles as well, as you've seen. So this is a fun franchise, fun cult classic, fun character, and I'm just mad they never did more, because it could have went on like a Jason or Freddy thing, or Michael Myers, or they could have kept doing sequels, and maybe someday they'll reboot it or bring it back. They bring everything back, so who knows. But this is basically Matt Cordell, which was his character's name before when he was a regular cop, and then he there's a scenario where he gets wronged, and he comes back as like kind of like an undead, and he gets creepier looking as the franchise goes on. I actually enjoyed all three movies, although 1 and 2 were probably superior to 3. 3 was still entertaining in its own right. It was made, I believe, in the late 80s or early 90s, as the franchise went on. And again, Bruce Campbell was in it, I believe, either in between Evil Dead or before Evil Dead or around that time, but he was in this film. And as you can see here, the details that Brutus Customs did here, aka Brian, he went as far as to do the tags, and you could see his badge head. It says Cordell on the badge right there. The zippers, you can see the shirt and tie. He's got the blue shirt with the tie there. Details with the coat, the zippers, the belt, the police belt. He's got the pistol right there, the gun. He's got a walkie-talkie right there, as you could see, in his holster, just like any police officer, would have. He's got the nightclub right there, which is functional. It's got the rope that you can swing, or like he always was seen twirling it in the movie, and it does open up to to kind of like where you can whip somebody. So it is functional from what I've seen. I haven't tried it yet. I haven't removed it from the holster yet, but from pictures and what he showed me, it does. A nice base too, which shows the logo and the Maniac Cop 2 poster look here. Again, with his name there. The COA, extra hands that he gave. All right, if you want to swap out his hands or give it more of a non-holding look, as far as opposed to like him holding the club, or this one that could hold the gun. So he does also have a left hand that you can put the gun in if you want him to hold. Because I do believe in the movie there's from what I've seen from pictures, what I remember, I think he actually at some point had this in the left hand, or there was one point I think he had 2 guns, one in each hand. So you could recreate that if you wanted to. And obviously this hand here with the hole in it is made to hold the billy club if you want to put the club in his hand. Okay, so very nice. The pants, the shoes, nice little details there. All right, the outfit, like I said, here's the back of him, the back of the jacket, very nicely done. Got a little fuzz there. The hair, he went with real like hair or mohair, whatever like people do with Michael Myers. The police hat is accurate. There's the New York City emblem, police emblem, police department, New York City, just like the real cops wore, especially that back in that time. The white gloves, he wore white gloves on his hands, so that's accurate. And yeah, here's the face sculpt once again. Really nicely done, really accurate. If you look it up, if you've never heard of this guy, or if it's like a generation thing, or if it's, something that people maybe don't know of that's younger or have forgotten about, look these movies up and watch them. They're fun as hell. They're just as good or bad considering what you think of the old horror films from like the 80s style, like the Jasons and Freddys and Chuckies and all that good stuff. And yeah, I wish it got a higher budget treatment. I wish it got a little more respect. Look at the emblem on the hat too, which is nice, accurate to the police hat. Really good. So yeah, I really, this was a dream figure for me. It's something I always wanted. So thank you, Brutus Customs. Thank you, Brian. Sorry, Jerry was the other guy I was talking about earlier. Thank you, Brian, once again. I am so happy to finally have this character in my collection. It is something I've always wanted. Nobody else has done it, and maybe nobody else again will. Or maybe this will inspire somebody else to do it now that they, if it comes to their attention. And Brutus, if you listen to this, or Brian, I have a request. I would like if you would do the other version from part 1, where he looked more humanish, but with the scars. If you're interested, let me know, because I would definitely commission that from you to go alongside this guy. Really cool. And if you have an extra Ash out there, anybody, you could maybe turn it into a custom Bruce Campbell character from, I don't remember even what his name was in this movie, but obviously it wasn't Ash. But if you get the clothing or something that matches his look, you can make maybe his character from this movie as well. So anyway, once again, kudos to Brutus Customs. I will definitely cherish this one. And again, now I don't have to do it, because I really was going to do it, because honestly, It's not a terribly different sculpt to do. It's not difficult, I should say. It's not a terribly difficult sculpt to do if you have some sculpting skills, and or in some cases maybe 3D printing it, whatever. But this was definitely something I was gonna try to do or work on at some point. But again, it's hard to get all the different components. It's not an easy. It's simple, but at the same time difficult to get the right uniform, and stuff like that. So again, kudos to Brutus for accomplishing that. All right, once again, there's the COA. There it is, Brutus 23, figure number 2, limited edition. There's the logo, another version of the poster of what, VHS box covers, whatever that happened back then, along with this. And there you go, guys. All right, I'll be back to wrap this up. Alright guys, so obviously this is the main event, and of course this video is a little extra nugget treat. I mean, some people could even consider it a part 4 to my Halloween vid, because it's still horror themed. But this is, the finale of my 1/6 Nightmare Before Christmas special, Volume 2, 2023 edition. Call it whatever you want. I don't know, maybe this will become an annual thing as well, I don't know, like the Halloween vid. But anyway, I'd be amiss if I didn't include these. Now, this is something that I jumped on. Dan offered it up. He was doing a kind of like a Black Friday thing because it was near, Thanksgiving and all that. So got it for a very fair price. And I want to say once again to everybody out there, Dan's prices are always fair compared to other people around there. Now, don't get me wrong. When you're a kid in a candy store and you buy a lot, you still may have to sell a kidney to pay everything back, but but at least in this case, there's the light at the end of the tunnel is a lot closer than if you were to go nuts with other artists out there. Not saying that the value of these are wrong. He definitely charges a justified amount and still a high amount, but not unrealistic. Let's put it that way. And he mentioned that if you guys go back and watch my Halloween vid, watch what he said in my interview with him and Tanila again. He'll tell you very much about his thinking, how he comes to terms of his pricing, as far as he actually considers it like a job with like time worked, like clocking in, clocking out, an hourly price in his head, and everything that kind of justifies or brings him to that amount. But with that being said, he also gave a deal with this because of it being Black Friday. He sold it as he wanted to sell it as like a combo set. Now, I have a Hobo Myers already. That's an older one that was done by CC Creations with a Once custom head. That is still a nice piece. I still have it. I don't know if I'm going to keep it or may sell it. If you guys are interested, hit me up. But look at this one. Now, this is sort of a concept one too. It's not completely accurate, nor is he, versus other ones that have been done or that he's done, or this one that he did as a run with Tanila, and I'll get into the specifics of that. But other than that, I have never seen, and I'm being truthful again, just like I've talked about other figures he's done in my videos, I've never seen something so amazing with details as far as with this character done in this way. And I'll give everybody credit who deserves credit. I'll explain. But Dan's finishing touches on this, regardless, is just amazing. Now, he did review this himself, so you can go to his channel and watch the review he did with these two guys. because he gave probably a lot of details, and I may miss things or giving people credit. So definitely refer to his video, watch his video if you want to know more about these figures, because again, I might be forgetting some of the pieces of the puzzle here. Now, from my understanding, from what I remember, he said in the video, and I think he told me, that the clothing actually is David Tucker. So big shout out to him, CC Creations. He had a new formula or a new updated version of his Hobo Myers stuff that I believe that Dan got this from. But then Dan obviously went ham and did his Dan thing, his Gallactibles touch on it, and weathered and damaged the shit out of it, obviously on purpose. And he went as far as to do this thing where the stuffing is coming out of the shirt, out of the jacket, excuse me, like that he has underneath. All the accurate clothing is here. The jumpsuit, right? The coveralls that he would wear before he became the Hobo Myers. You can't see it right now, but in here, the checkered shirt. Oh, here you go. Like the flannel red pattern shirt is there, along with the other layers, along with the shirt underneath that, the camo sort of vest, and then obviously his jacket, that kind of seeps through on the sides here, right? So the layers are there. It's a very heavy, thick figure. When I tell you how large this thing is, I can't even begin to describe it to you, how much of a monster this thing is. Along with him, the only reason why he's taller than him right now is because he's on a higher stand. They are about the same height. So what I love what Dan has been doing, again, is that he pays attention to detail, whereas he uses similar bodies for the same character, make them the same height. Like, again, if you were to raise him up to match the level here, you see they're the same size. So it's believable that this is the same dude, that this is Tyler Mane here and also here, right? They're not mismatched, okay? And it makes sense that he looks wider and thicker because he's got layers of clothing on here, whereas here he's not wearing as much. So he did his thing on it. So kudos to David Tucker, CC Creations. Shout out to him. I think for this too, he did, I believe Dan said he did the outfit for this too, that Dan then kind of weathered it, dyed it, or whatever to kind of complete it. But I believe he said also that this is David Tucker's outfit. So kudos to him. And I'll get more into details of these other parts too. The head sculpt, everything about it, Dan kind of pieced everything together to make like sort of like a concept figure. So it's, and again, go to his channel, go to Gallactibles, and you'll see the review he did where he explains everything even probably more detailed than I'm doing. I don't want to repeat myself if I don't have to. If you're that interested in knowing more about the figure, go watch his video as well on his channel, Gallactibles on YouTube. Okay, this is a mask, I believe this was done by One's Customs, from what I remember, that went as like an accessory to this, and I could be wrong. This might be a One's Customs head sculpt. I don't remember if he said that or not, but as far as the reworking of the hair and everything that's been done to complete it is once again Gallactibles, aka Dan Turso. All right, it's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, you saw the part 6/7 I just showed the Jason, and you look at that, you say, oh my God, that's the best concept I've ever seen. But then you turn around and you look at this, you're like, oh my God, this is the best one I've ever seen. And then I look at this one and I'm like, wow, this is not as accurate or like the one he did as part of the run. When I showed you guys the prototype that I did in the Halloween vid, that does belong to Dan. That's him and Tanila's prototype. So sent it back, but that one is far more accurate than this one. However, when you talk about putting a check mark in the bad assery column, this dude does it, okay? So I'll get to him too, but the hand, the figure that he sent this to me with had like a closed-fisted hand, okay? I wanted him to hold a knife. The knife is beautifully done and weathered and painted and stuff like that. Again, I think this also may be David Tucker. I'm not sure. Again, if I'm wrong, I apologize. Like I said, use Dan's video as a reference. But I did have other hands, so what I did was I just swapped out the hand and put an open hand for him to hold the knife here, because I had to have that as part of his repertoire here. The string with the bag, the blanket that he has tied to the back, everybody knows that's the classic look there. Again,
what Dan described to me, or I think he even said in his review, is like, this is kind of like a what if, like if there was a part 3 to Rob Zombie's movies, this might be a further progression where he looks more beat up, he looks more damaged, he went through more stuff, especially if you saw the end of the movie, for part 2. You know, he definitely took a hit, and you know, in all likelihood, supposedly died. I guess it depends on which version you watch. Um, but you know, if it had continued and he had the same outfit, you know, this would be a further deterioration of his look as he's, you know, going through it. You know, the base he made again along with the mask, beautifully done with the, as you could see, the dirt and the grime and all the stuff on the deck here. You know, on this base, the rocks, the little grass, and but you know, all the grass and the you know the weeds and everything here, the little subtle dirt marks, everything. It's just so detailed and wonderfully done. I mean, look at the little leaves coming off of the dead leaves coming off the little branches here and stuff. And I do remember, you know, and look at the rock there. I do remember, you know, again, talking with Dan, he loves doing these kind of bases or dioramas, the scenery. He likes, he excels at that. If you guys remember, once again, I'm showing this sucker again, okay? Dutch, right? You know, again, he went ham with the details because he loves making these type of nature type of settings, jungle looks, you know, with trees, leaves, grass, plants, vegetarians, you know, whatever you want to call it, you know, vegetation. I think that's the word I'm looking for. Vegetation. Thank you. That's what I was trying to say. Not that he eats as a vegetarian. But anyway, the mud and everything. And again, I'm not going to detour, but you know, I'm giving you another look at this Dutch figure because it's amazing. And so I wanted to revisit this because I wanted to show you the torch. He found the torch that he owed me because he didn't have it. He couldn't find it at the time that he sent this when I showed it originally. So now I have everything that goes with it. And I'll eventually maybe incorporate this into him where he's, you know, he's holding it. Right now I have him holding the bow and arrow and the spear, the homemade spear here with the stick, with his knife on the end there. The hunter's knife that he turned into like a spear. So really cool. But anyway, getting back to these guys. So this is Hobo Myers. Again, the base has a little stand there, like a stick that you could put his leg in so that he doesn't fall. But I gotta be honest with you, unlike some other figures out there, or even some from Dan himself, where maybe the figure is heavy or needs extra support, this guy actually stands very well on his own. I've had him stand off and on this base, and it's, you know, he's good. You know, every once in a while he might tilt or, you know, whatever, because again, Dan makes very large, very cumbersome bodies with a lot, you know, heavy stuff on it. So sometimes, you know, you got to make sure that the figure is safe, you know, from not tipping over, right? But this one's very well done, along with this one too. This one does not require any support. And again, he threw in this extra head sculpt here that's kind of like, you know, before the mask becomes really damaged where it shows his face underneath. This is like the pre-look where his face is creeping through like half and half. Love the weathering on this. Now again, like I mentioned earlier, and I said I had another example. This is another example of Dan's paintwork and how he makes things look very aged and weathered and creepy because he, again, very dark, right? Look at that. It's almost like, it's like dried up blood, but almost like a brownish color, which would make sense because that is what happens to blood when it dries up or it stains, right? It turns more into a brownish color as time goes on. Not that I would know that or anything or ever killed anybody. I'll edit this part out. Just kidding. But anyway, so again, the details, the eyes in the area. This was, I believe, a once custom sculpt that he redid, rehaired. And again, he went into details on his vid when he reviewed it. So watch his vid as well to get more details if you haven't already. And again, just let me see if I can, what I'm going to do is, without trying to wreck this, let me pause this and I'm going to come back and show you the back of him. All right, so this is the details on the back of him. So I took him off the base. And there's that peg I was telling you about, that little stand that he does on his bases that you could put it up the pant leg so it helps hold it, which is pretty cool. The Jason 6'7" that I showed you at the beginning of this vid also has that. There's the blanket with the rope, and you can see far more weathered. And in person, it's actually more muddy and brownish looking than it does show in vid as well. And I think he said that in his video as well, and that is true. Because as I'm looking at it through the camera and then I look at it in real life, it's actually more of a brownish tint more than white in real life, in real time. And again, look at the details in the damage of this vest. I can go on and on for hours about this figure. This video is much longer than it should be because I just keep gushing and showing details. But I'm sure you guys don't mind. Look at the hood and the hoodie and like the damage, the holes, the layers. I mean, Dan's a maniac with this stuff. I mean, he's a monster, and he churns these out so fast. But again, look at that in there. Now the hood is removable, meaning you can take the hood off, exposing more of the head. But why the hell would you want to? I mean, this is like definitely the look to have him. And again, he said that himself, and I agree with him. You know, this is definitely the most ominous, you know, creepy way to have him. Let me just straighten out here on the left side. I notice I'm a perfectionist. I want to make sure there we go. It's a little more even. But I mean, you can't go wrong with no matter what look you go with here. There's, you know, really get in there to see the details with the hair and how he made it kind of like, how he made the hair kind of stay like that. So you can kind of like, it has that kind of look, you know, that just kind of stays. And again, you can see he's standing on his own now without the base. So, you know, Dan, all I could say is I bow down to you, man. This is incredible. And I'm so lucky to have this one. Thank you very much. All right, so now let me put him safely over here. I'm not going to put him back on the peg at the moment to waste time, so I'll just lean him. Even though he can stand, I'm just going to lean him like that. This way he's safe while we don't have any accidents while I'm filming this. So moving right on, I'll put this on here with the base. Okay. This is his interpretation of one variant, of one type of sort of like accurate meets custom merged. It's still very accurate to the real one, but at the same time, it definitely has a different spin on it. And it's not completely accurate. The straps are different. The centerpiece or the way the straps work in the front are different. The chains kind of attach in a more traditional sense, like his run with Tennille, where the chains, you know, starts in the middle, but they're also linked on the sides for each arm. And you can see the bolts and the chains here, weathered very nicely, all weathered by Dan. The pajama pants, which are sort of accurate. They're the right colors, along with the slippers and stuff. And you can see a lot of mud and dirt work there by Dan. Again, he loves the darkness, right? But the pants are not 100% accurate as opposed to the prototype that I showed and the run. So this is not part of the run. It's different, although there's pieces of it with the head sculpt. He did say that the mask and the head that this is on, again, I'm not removing it to show the face. Others have. Go watch their videos. I don't want to mess with perfection. I love the way it looks. I love the way the hair is draping over it. It's beyond badass. I'm not touching it. Okay, so this is the way it's going to stay. And again, uses like a string type, like a realistic string that wraps around. I really love this one, the way it fits. It's so natural looking, where you can see the tip of the mask kind of peeking out there in the hair, almost like an ear. Or like a horn coming out, and then, but how the hair just kind of flows. The hair is definitely different. Again, not as accurate, but very cool. It's got a lighter, more blondish tint to it, and it drapes down a little more straight as opposed to the run where they did it a little more accurate as far as it being a darker brown and a little more body to it. It's not as thinned out as this one. This kind of reminds me more. This has like an Undertaker look, you know. Kind of like, when, you know, his old gray or purple outfit days with, you know, with the hat, like kind of like the custom I did. But even better when Undertaker's hair became more stringy and kind of like thinned out a little bit more. This very much reminds me of that. This could very much fit into this type of figure. The straps, I believe, and the outfit, I think, was done by David Tucker. I know the outfit definitely was David Tucker. He mentions that, and he told me that. He mentions it in his vid. And, you know, once again, he got it, weathered it, and completed it for his vision here. The chains, I believe he said, was done by Oz, which we all know Oz is known for doing the Jason hockey mask, both in real size and especially in 1/6 size. And, you know, I have many of those. And I've mentioned him before, showed him. And there was one that was being used in my Halloween vid that was for one of Dan's figures for Jason Sevens that he gave me or sold to me that I had showed in that video. So Oz is very talented. Never knew he did this type of work, but he did the chains and the shackles, you know, for this guy. And it came out very nice. Very, very beautifully done. And again, it's not 100% accurate. It's not the same... it's not part of the run or not the same, you know, deal as the run. The clothing, everything is different. But Dan damn it, man, you did a great job. I've already told this to him offline. When I saw these, I had to have them. I always wanted a new Escape Myers in my collection, and now I have it. And you know what? I'm perfectly happy, even though it's not as accurate, as good as the run that he did with Tennille. You can't complain. I mean, this thing is a monster. It's a beast. It's got a certain shelf presence. Even the base that he has with it, simple base. It's kind of like cardboardish, but like what finished off. The floor looks really nice and looks realistic that he's standing on. That simulates the hospital, Smith Grove, I would imagine, with the backdrop. And then he has this little light here. This light. Look how cool that light is. It's like a backdrop or prop. There is wiring in the back for it to work too, so it could flash red. Very nicely done. And then he does this alternate mask here, which is another reason that appealed to me, because I always loved this mask. And you could technically have him wear that instead, right? And it would look just as good, but not accurate to the scene because he never wore this when he was in the shackles. But definitely a nice accessory, a nice backdrop. And I may get finicky at some point and want to switch it out just for fun, because it would look really creepy with this one as well. Very well done. So nice touch. It even has it's even made like with that kind of papery feel, like it does feel like homemade, like it's an actual mini mask of like what he actually did. It's paper, sort of like not like plastic or resin or anything like that. So very detailed and very realistic. So nice little backdrop to keep it here, or maybe hang it behind them on the wall, whatever you want to do. Really looks great. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. All I know is I'm so happy with this figure. You have no idea how I love this figure. I just love the uniqueness of it, and the fact that it's actually a little bit of a variant of the concept. Just to me, it's just amazing. So it makes me not care that it's not 100% accurate. Because look how good it is. I mean, it's just again, with these two, it's like, I'm not going to complain. So Dan, aka Gallactibles, congrats once again with excellent work. Dude, bar none, man. You're just getting better and better as you go. So keep it up, man. And guys, just so you know, from the last vid, when I did the Halloween vid, I did show a remake Jason in there that he did. It's still in my possession. I have yet to get it back to him. But if anybody's interested in it, it's still up for sale. And I could ship it straight to you if you want to deal with me, or you want to go to Dan about it, then he'll come to me. Very, very fair price, very affordable, especially if you're used to paying the higher end prices for these type of customs. Also, the burnt Chucky I showed that has the magnet that he could stick to the box display, that is available. Very cheap price. Again, for the high end collectors, it's not even going to break the bank for an hour of your day, as far as what he's looking for with that one as well. So I still have that one too. So the burnt the burnt Chucky with the box that he could display on with the magnet, the remake Jason, and the concept part 6-7 Jason I showed at the beginning of this vid are all available for sale. If anybody is interested, hit me up right away, because I could work it out with Dan and we can get it in your hands before I even send it back to him. Okay? So anyway, guys, that concludes this year's Nightmare Before Christmas. I hope you enjoyed what I showed. One more look at this guy. Just look at him in my hand. You could see how big he is. Damn, this guy is massive. I can't make up my mind which I like better. But you know what? I don't have to make up my mind, because they're both right here. So fine by me. And also, guys, just so you know, I'm on the Jason 10 run that he's also doing with Tennille. That's looking very great. I'll review that in the near future when that's done. And by the way, even though this is fantastic, there is I believe a Hobo Myers run he's doing, and he's starting to show some previews of the sculpt and hinting at it online on Instagram, Facebook, and so on. Guys, it looks phenomenal so far. So if you're interested in a Hobo Myers, or if you love this one and would love his work, I would definitely recommend, keeping in touch with him and get on that run, because that looks like it's going to be amazing as well. If you have something like this and you miss out on it, you could sleep better at night. But if you don't have this, because I do, sorry, then you definitely want to hop on his run, because you'll definitely still have a fantastic Hobo Myers. Probably going to be better and more accurate, obviously, than this one, with Tanila and company and his usuals, Julio, stuff like that, his partners and such. So, you know, keep that in mind. Hit him up if you're interested, and good luck, man. You know, because he moves fast. So get on the train while, you know, before it leaves the station. All right, guys. Joebizz34, once again, I want to wish everybody watching this video, whatever you're celebrating, whatever your belief is, whatever your religion is, you know, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. For me, it is Christmas. Happy Hanukkah, and definitely Happy New Year's, or whatever else you guys are celebrating out there. I hope you enjoy the end of the year, and here we come, 2024. It's going to be a great year, and a great year for this hobby, especially if Dan keeps whipping out stuff like this. Again, I want to thank Roadkill Customs for an awesome Leatherface sculpt for the 74 look for Bubba. I want to thank Gabriel once again for continuously knocking out of the park with his Freddy's and his Freddy sculpts. That part 1 Freddy is probably one of his best one yet, and I'm sure he's going to keep improving there too. And that's pretty much it. And Brutus Customs for his beautiful Maniac 2 figure. Thank you again to all of you guys. And I'll be seeing you soon. See you on the next vid. Till next time, Joebizz34. Peace out.